viewers, welcome to The Innovative Entrepreneur with Sonia Clark from Lee Business Education. The topic today is on learn the secrets to being organised and achieving goals. So I have a very, very special guest for you today. She's all about goals. She's known as the Goal Digger. Her name is Kimberly Olson. Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I love talking about this stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. So Kimberly actually comes from a background with 2 PhDs in nutrition and holistic health and multi-level marketing as well, and is fabulous with social media marketing. She's an author of a best-selling book and a podcaster. And like I said, with her social media marketing, absolutely fantastic with having that online presence and helping owners and consultants to specialize with their brands and to know how to market their message extremely well. So we're going to ask Kimberly lots of questions because she's an expert in the goals. So Kimberly, please explain to the viewers a little bit about your story and your past and where you're currently at.
Sure. So like most people who are looking at entrepreneurship, there's either a calling there to create something or there's a financial need for it. So when I was 8.5 months pregnant with my second baby, they're a 1.5 years apart. So our second one, she actually came unexpectedly. We found out about her in my second trimester. So we had just a 1-year-old and we're not prepared mentally. I struggled with postpartum depression with my first one. So I was already just really nervous about having the second baby. And I had a really great paying corporate job. And I lost my job 8.5 months before, I was 8.5 months pregnant and I lost my job. I was let go. They had downsized and eliminated my territory. I was in sales for a health and wellness company. And so I went into depression. I had a new baby. I cashed in our 401ks, put everything on credit cards. I took little side jobs, but I couldn't find anything with 2 small children where I couldn't travel anymore to make that money. We built our dream home. We bought 2 brand new vehicles. We did all the things you shouldn't do, right? 2 little ones in preschool or daycare. So financially, we were just like spent. And so I really didn't know what to do. And so I took a job locally and I was commuting 2.5 hours a day. Never saw my kids. I missed my baby's first steps. I would FaceTime into doctor's appointments because I was on commission. And I felt like such a bad mom. I felt like such a failure. And so my friend kept asking me to look at her network marketing company. And I kept saying no, because I had such a bad stigma, associated with it. I didn't want to bother my friends and spam people. And I just kept telling her no. But that spring, I was really just like, I'm so sick of this, like living paycheck to paycheck. I can't even put my daughter in dance class. Like, I got to figure something out. So I saw her again and she's like, you should just try the product. So I tried the product and I loved it. And I was like, okay, what do I need to do? I'm not bothering anybody. She's like, no, you don't have to. So I started with it and I did really well. I was starting to get out of the debt a little bit, but I ran out of my warm market. So I was like, now what do I do? And so 6 months in, the fall of 2017, I discovered video marketing and social media. If you're watching this and you're like, I don't know how to do videos, I don't post on social media, like I don't understand it. I didn't either. I had no clue. I didn't have an Instagram account. I wasn't on Facebook, but I was hungry and driven and I was coachable. So I plugged into a coaching program, a group mastermind, and she was teaching us how to grow on social media. So I was the star student. Like I would go do her Zoom classes and I would implement right away and take action. And I started doing videos every week and I was still working full time, having these little babies, and people started coming back and watching. My video views started growing. And so I was like, wow, I'm really onto something here. So I was really listening to my audience. I was paying attention to what they were asking for. So I wasn't trying to put out there what I thought people wanted. I was paying attention to the fact that they were asking about vision boards. They were asking about business planning, goal setting. Like they didn't know how to do those things, whether it was lose weight or start a business. So I just monetized it. I said, I'll teach you, but I'm going to charge you. So I would do these 90-minute workshops and charge $15 a person, but there would be 30, 40, 50 people, 100 in them. And so it just kept growing. So I launched my brand, The Goal Digger Girl, in the spring of 2018. So a 1.5 years ago. In that time, I've grown my following to almost 150,000 on social media organically. I don't use Facebook ads. I've just passed the $500,000 mark with my revenue and walked away from my corporate job a year ago. And this is what I do. I just get to teach other people how to make it happen as well. So I am a huge advocate of figuring out social media, finding your place, multiple streams of revenue, and just making it happen.
Wow. What a journey.
It's crazy. I know.
While still being a very busy mum and running around.
Yes, ma'am. Yep. Soccer mom over here for sure.
I really miss being a soccer mum. I love just being on the sideline and being right in the action.
They keep you busy. They really do. But it's been really neat to be able to switch hats. Like yesterday she had gymnastics. So I was in mom mode for, most of the day. And then in the evening, I'm like, okay, I'm going to record some YouTube videos and do a Facebook Live. Nice to be able to have that flexibility to be 110% there for them and then be there for my audience.
Well, this is the thing, we wear so many different hats, whether we're a mum or a dad or, the way we're, I think, being a lot busier usually these days. We're doing so many things. We're trying to do, live the dream, which is very much what you help people to do, is to identify goals and live, and create dreams and live dreams. But we're wearing so many hats that it can get very overwhelming. It can be confusing and take away our focus. So what would be your tips around the juggling aspect with business and personal life?
Yeah. And actually, this book, Why Balance is BS, I literally wrote this book because of this very question, because I feel as though it's so different than it was, 50 years ago being a mom. And so we're put in this position, and, if you're not a mom, you can identify with elderly parents who are sick, or maybe you have multiple jobs, or you have animals and pets and things like that. I mean, everyone can identify with it. There's so much on us. I call it what the focus. It's like, what the heck? I mean, there's so many different things that we are trying to accomplish. We do none of it well. Like, our attention's constantly split. We think if we're on our phones all day long, we're going to be, crushing it, millionaires. It doesn't work that way. So one of the things that has really helped me and my clients and my audience is, first step, and this is a great time of year for this, I'm so glad that you're doing this, is I want you to figure out what's the most important thing to you and your family. Is it you making sure you're getting exercise in? Is it that you want to make dinner every day for your family and make sure you're making good food choices? Is it you want to make sure that you are starting a side hustle alongside your 9 to 5 and you're committed to growing it, so eventually you can walk away from that job? Or maybe it's just to supplement your income because you homeschool. But like, I call them rocks. But what are the priorities in your life? And then what you're going to do is you're going to get your calendar out, whether it's digital or you have a physical planner, and you're going to have different colors, and you're going to write in time every single week to commit to those things. So many times people start having issues in their marriage and they're like, what's going on? Like, why are we having problems right now? But if you actually look, how much investment have you put into that marriage? Do you guys go on date nights? Have you been on a vacation in 5 years? Do you sit and just you two talk about your day and how it's going and all of those things? So it's taking the goals and the priorities that you have and in real time putting them onto your calendar. You don't want them to just be an idea like, oh, yay, I'm going to get fit this year. How are you going to get fit, right? It can't be wishful thinking. We need to take action.
Yeah.
That would be like my first step for sure.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah, so definitely there's the taking action, it's the organizing of it all, being focused. So to me, that sort of seems like the first steps before then, like actually achieving goals. Would you be in agreement with that? And what would be your tips around that then?
Yeah, so I would absolutely be in agreement on that. So when I think about all the things that have happened in my life and that I've accomplished, I really, really think that so many people are trying to do all of it at once, and we're scrolling and we get all these ideas. Like, let's say you're on Facebook and you see an ad pop up and you're like, oh, I need to use this content planner, and every day I need to plan out, what I'm doing on social media. So you buy the thing and you're like, okay, I'm going to do that. And then something pops up and it's like, you really should get going with your Instagram stories. You're like, yes, I need to go do that. And then you start getting that thing going, and you're not doing any of it all the way through. You're not doing any of it well. So what I recommend doing is figuring out what's the next best skill set that I need to develop. Time management is usually a big one. And what is that skill set I need to develop? And I'm going to master that one skill set before I go on to the next one. And so the reason why I was able to launch, write a couple books, have a podcast, speak, do all these things and run multiple businesses is because I did one at a time. I layered them. So I get real like Instagram. I was like, I'm going to figure out Instagram. So I spent like 4 to 6 weeks just obsessed with Instagram. Like, how do I grow my Instagram? How do I get organic engagement? How do I convert sales from Instagram? And I just became obsessed with it. So my recommendation to you would be write down a list of the things that you know you need to develop skill sets around. Is it getting clients? Is it filling up your pipeline with leads and prospects? Is it email marketing? Like, what are the skill sets you need to get really good at? And I want you to tackle one after another and feel okay spending money on programs. Like, there are people out there that are teaching this stuff. Like, all the things I have learned from somebody else, like email marketing, sales funnels, a website, how do you grow a Facebook group, Instagram. I have bought courses, books, coaching programs, learn from the best, and then put my spin on it. Never copy, always use it for inspiration, right? But then one by one, brick by brick, I've been able to build up these skill sets. So for you listening and watching, figure out what your skill set list is. What's that hit list? And one by one, I would tackle each one of them.
I like that. I like that a lot. And, as you were talking there, I'm like, oh gosh, yes, I do that. And I do that.
There's so many things.
Doing that, but I'm not quite doing that at the moment. Yeah. It's like, oh.
So many things. Yeah.
Got to get on with that. So then, you're very good at building success. You've done it several times over in different facets. And this is what you're about, is a multi-dimensional brand for yourself and helping to teach that to other people. There are some people who are very good at that, inch wide, mile deep, and there's some that are not, that they're very used to doing so many multi-dimensional sorts of things. So really like that you offer that slight bit of difference there, and certainly all around goals. So how about we explore a little bit of the tips that you would have around setting goals, and then we'll talk about the achieving of goals.
So when it comes to setting goals, I like to reverse engineer it. So instead of thinking like what sounds good and what everybody else is doing, I'm very energetic, so I follow inspired action. So everything that you see is all been God-led for me. It's just my belief. So I respect everybody's beliefs. But what it's allowed me to do is to listen and go with my gut on things and what's that next thing I need to do. So I would encourage you to get some quiet time. Maybe you journal, maybe you meditate, but just get quiet and allow that guided, the guided instinct, intuition to lead you to what you need to set a goal for. But I always say, we want to set your soul on fire. I want you to be excited about your life. I don't want you just going through the motions and, trying to keep up with the status quo. What do you want? So it's getting clear on what you want, what lights you up, what excites you, what sets your soul on fire, and figure out what that goal is. And then ask yourself, okay, what's the end result? The result is key. It's always income producing activities, result oriented action. You don't want to just do something to do it. Like, what result are you trying to get? Is it to make 6 figures? Is it to be able to be debt free? Is it to help work with other women to create success in their own lives? Because that makes you feel good, right? Like, I'm a yellow personality with, depending on which color chart you're looking at, I like helping people. That makes me feel good. Yeah. So that lights me up. Like, it's my favorite thing ever when I get testimonials from people, or I see people launch to another stream of income, right? And they launch that coaching program or that course. Like, I love that. So figure out something that lights you up. What's the end result? And then work backwards. So since we're embarking in a new decade, you might say, okay, what is this next year look like? What's the next 5 years, 10 years? And if you can't look that far, maybe just start with the next year, next 6 months. And then reverse engineering is where you work backwards. So if our result is here, so this is point B and we're at point A, ask yourself, what do I need to do to get here? So it's okay, well, maybe my goal is to get to I want to make $10,000 a month recurring revenue. That's your goal. And right now you're making 1,000. Okay, well, let's break that down. What does that look like? Does that mean you need to layer and add another source of income, right? Do you maybe need to launch a coaching program, or, can you partner up with somebody and launch something? But what does that look like to get to the 10 grand? Okay, so my end result is 10 grand a month. Then I know that leading up to it, if I'm at 1,000, I'm going to go to double my income the next month. And then I'm at 2,000. Okay, maybe I get to 3,000 or 4,000 the next month, and I inch my way up. By the end of the 6th month, I'm at 10,000. Right now, if you're at 1,000 and you're trying to get to 10,000, that's too big, right? Your brain just turns off. Your brain is like, I can't do this. There's no way. It's not going to happen. So reverse engineering is where you figure out what are the steps you need to take to make that thing happen. I do have a background in health and wellness, like we talked about. I work with so many women who want to lose weight or get toned. So if their goal is 100 pounds and we're trying to lose 100 pounds, like that seems like so far, there's no way. But if we say, okay, let's focus on you losing a couple pounds per week, but we're also going to add some muscle. We're going to tone up because that muscle is going to help you burn more calories at rest. And let's get you feeling really good. And let's find some foods that you like. Let's find a meal plan that works for you and your family, where you feel full, you feel satisfied, but you're still having, a glass of wine or pizza. And then suddenly they're starting to lose weight and they're like, oh my gosh, this is working. And they keep going. They get to the 100 pounds versus like, okay, my goal pounds. Like, no, let's start with a couple pounds per week and let's get you to the 100. So with your goal setting, make sure it's something you're passionate about, you're excited about, map it out. What do you need to do to get to the end of that goal? Reverse engineer it, and then just break it down. Something reasonable. It excites you, but you can do it. And then visualize yourself achieving it and feel really good about that.
I love that. Love that. Beautiful. I reverse engineer everything. I didn't realize that that's just my natural way. I always just say, I always think backwards. What's wrong with me? Why am I always that way?
Yes.
It's a bit of a natural sort of talent there. That's
cool.
Yeah, I found out later as I was an adult. Is that what that is?
I've been doing it all along.
Anymore. Dad, I liked being weird.
Yes, I am definitely weird. I say it's unique, but I am very unique, and I'm good with that.
Yeah, well, and exactly, and we all are really. It's looking at the big picture and then the baby steps, I suppose. And what happens then for people that if they feel like they're doing that and they get to a point and either they're losing focus or that it's really not working out?
Mm-hmm. Well, if they're losing focus, which is very common, it's called your why, but when you have something that really like drives you, you've got to find something that like brings you to tears. Like for me, I grew up without any money. I mean, I was on reduced lunch, which is basically like you're subsidized at school. We put everything on layaway. We got to pick out like a couple outfits for school, but we didn't get them. We had to put them in layaway. My mom had to pay it down, and then we got the thing. Like I grew up with no money. And so for me, I have pictures of a lot of pictures of my kids, my daughters. They're now 3 and 5, Addison and Elise, but I have pictures all around me. And so my prime time is actually evening. I do a lot of stuff like this during the day, but evening time for me to create or reach out to people and do is in the evening. It would be so easy for me to be like, I'm so tired. I'm going to go watch a movie or go watch Netflix. But no, I have pictures around me to remind me. And when I was working full time, do you know how hard it was to build up to 6 figures? Because I had to replace my income and then some to make sure I could quit safely. It was very, very hard because I was exhausted, but I wanted it so bad. I kept pushing myself and telling myself, no, you cannot quit. You cannot go to bed. You said you were going to get these things done and you're going to stay up until they're done. I mean, I wrote a book last summer and I wrote it when I was working full time. I don't even know how I did that, but I would say, no, you've got an hour tonight. You said you were going to work on this book, write the book, right? Do the thing. So if you're feeling like you're getting lost in this whole thing, it's because you're probably squirreling. So you have to promise yourself, what is that thing I'm going to do right now? And I'm not going to stop till it's done. And then I can get to that thing. Because I think there's some FOMO there. I think that we think we're never going to get to that thing, or something pops up and we're like, oh, maybe that's the answer. No, the answer is you finishing things. The answer is you getting them done. So I call it the parking lot. So I have a place, I have a whiteboard for it, but you could do a notebook. Every time ideas come up that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I really want to do that, I put it in the parking lot, meaning it's parked, it's over here, it's okay. We'll get to it at some point, but not today. Today, I need to do the thing I said that I was going to do. So it's just self-discipline. It's a muscle. It takes some time, but if you have a why that like moves you, like when I think about my daughters and seeing how confident they are and that we're creating a lifestyle that, I mean, it's crazy what these children are growing up with that I didn't have. I love that. Like that drives me that I'm changing my family tree, but I'm also impacting other women to change their family tree and change their financial situation. So I do it for my people. I do it for my kids. And I'm, you know, proud for my husband that I'm his wife, you know, and he tells people what I do. And I'm proud of that I work so hard. So figure out what your why is. So it needs to be so amazing that like when it's 11 o'clock at night, you just want to go to bed. You get the thing done, or you get up early if that works for you. My kids get me up and we're in mom mode in the morning. That doesn't work for me. Some people will get up before their work and spend an hour of quiet time, miracle morning time, but you could do your income producing activities then. Just figure out what works for you. But you've got to stick to the thing you said and be so driven and consumed by it that you're almost obsessed with it.
Beautiful. Lovely, lovely. There was quite a few things in there that I thought, I want to ask you. So I'm trying to remember them.
I know, it's a lot.
Yeah, I love the idea. Yeah, because that, you know, typically with a lot of entrepreneurs is that we're very good at starting things and not always finishing things.
It's very common.
Yeah. And I like that idea with the parking lot. And it's like, it's okay. It's an idea. At least get it out of your head, put it down, and you can come back to it later. So then with the whole finishing things, sometimes I've said to people, get an accountability buddy. What other tips could you give around the whole finishing things?
Yeah. I'm a huge advocate of getting coaching, whether it's private, if you can afford it, or group coaching, if you can't afford it. So I started off with group coaching because I wasn't making enough in my business to be able to hire a coach, at least a good one, you know, that had what I wanted. So find someone who can show you, I've gotten these results, and you can say, those are the results I want. Because there's lots of people out there like coaching and doing programs and having things, but ask them, hey, could I talk to somebody? Could you put me in a 3-way chat on Messenger? Ask whoever it is, you know, I want to talk to somebody who's gone through your program, or you can see the results and stuff like that. But I got into group coaching, and when you do that and you really get into it, typically there's a process to it. So I actually run group coaching so I can speak to it. There's a beginning and an end point for all of my students. So at any given time, they know if they're on track or not. It's not this confusing, like, so how am I doing? Like, no, this is what you need to do to get the results you want. Where are we at on that? Oh, okay. Why are we not getting the results that we want? So I know I seem very sweet, but I can be very tough when it comes to coaching because I know that's what people need. It's like tough love. They don't pay me money for me to be nice to them. They pay me money to help them get the results, right? In a kind, firm way. But I have to do that. I have to call people out on it, but that's what they need. You know, some people are not self-motivated. Some people cannot just sit down and have an awesome killer calendar and just do it. So some of them need that accountability. So if you've been trying and you want to, you know, you keep hitting your head against the wall and you're just frustrated, but you want this, I would plug into some kind of coaching, group coaching, you know, some kind of step-by-step program where someone's going to lead you through it and help you get the results you want. That will do the trick for you because of that accountability. It really will.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then you also mentioned a mastermind. So what would be the difference to you between a group coaching or getting into a group coaching as opposed to a mastermind?
Well, so the word mastermind it's kind of been thrown around a little bit. So when I think of the word mastermind, I think of going and masterminding, kind of doing like a brainstorming session. Like I went to one this last year and it was all for 6 and 7 figure earners. And we literally went through, like, he had guest speakers and stuff, people who had really had some major success in their careers to pour into us, you know, and mentor us. But we went through the whole weekend of best practices. Like, what are the things that are working now? What can everybody bring to the table? And I was able to present at it, which was really neat. But it was a collection of ideas. So mastermind, think of like, if you were in a mastermind, it could be you and like 4 other leaders in your industry, your niche, and you're all coming together to say, what are the best things out there? That's what I think a mastermind is. But for those that are watching this, most of you probably are more at the beginning stages, or you've been doing this, but you haven't had that breakthrough where you're like, I'm not at the 6 or 7 figures. I'm not financially free. I still need that help. I would plug into some kind of group coaching or coaching. So that's going to be more one-on-one, more personalized, and it's going to be more step-by-step versus like a mastermind, which is more just to kind of fill up your cup. I feel like that's like phase 2, but phase 1, I would definitely do something more intermediate, like a group coaching or coaching.
Beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. So then with achieving goals and then going on to then trying to achieve more goals, so ultimately trying to achieve for success, what would be your tips and strategies around that?
So can you clarify a little bit what you mean, like as far as the strategy around it, or what, can you share a little bit more about?
We've talked about setting. So when people have then achieved it, and then they're now trying to scale up, I suppose, what would be some ideas around that with the scaling to go for bigger goals and achieving more, and then ultimately success?
Okay, got it. Yeah, that's a great question. And it's something that I believe everything happened the way it happened, but I wish this conversation would have been something that was asked of me at the beginning stages, because I did not scale at all. I'm so thankful. I had a virtual assistant from day one. She happened to be someone we had met, and I said, you know what, have you ever thought about helping? I'm trying to get started on social media, and I'm going to need some help. Have you ever thought about doing some stuff online? She's like, actually, yes. It was like perfect timing. She started off part-time, and now she's full-time with me. She runs our whole team. So having someone like there has gotten me through this. If I didn't have her, there's no way I could have done the numbers I shared with you at the beginning, because I haven't scaled. So this last, I would say 6 months, we started scaling the business. So what that means is where you have systems in place that are taking care of the stuff that you physically have to do. So when I would launch a group coaching program, say it was an 8-week intensive, we used to have people click a button on PayPal, and then we would go find all the people and go put them into Facebook. We would manually track that they had paid. I mean, it was so archaic. It took so much time, so much energy. Now, when people want to get into something, they go ahead and get it. They get into the back office, they know what to do, and we do nothing, right? I just show up on camera to teach people stuff. So scaling your business is where your business can grow whether or not you are there showing your face. So I have courses now that are an evergreen. So if people want to get my Crushing It on Instagram course, they hit the button, they buy it, they access all the recorded trainings. If they have a question, they post it, I get an email, and we move on. So my advice to you is, when you get to that point where you're starting to run out of time, so you physically are like, I cannot coach another person, my schedule is full and my income is capped. Ask yourself, okay, well, if I can't do one-on-one, how could I serve more people with less time and still make more money? Would be moving to group coaching. That's why I'm a huge advocate of it. I'm usually on a wait list for my private coaching now. So, but group coaching, of course, you want to make sure it's a good balanced group, but you can serve more than one person at a time in a group coaching setting. So it's just figuring out how to leverage your time so you're not always on camera, always one-on-one with people, or you're constantly creating new content. What can you take and record it, turn it into a course, and then you can continue to promote it? That's a really good question.
Yeah, because, and I laughed a little bit there, because I sometimes fall back into that, and I think that's that whole control freak thing. It's like,
totally.
I want to make sure that I'm on top of.
That's my assistant.
And yet I'm so much into leverage, and I'm so much into systems and things like that. I understand it. It's identifying your own little habits and how to stop it.
Yes, exactly.
And then know how to push yourself out of that. And it's like, some people find, and I was thinking of other people, they were popping into my head when you were talking. Sometimes people can find it really, really difficult to stop themselves. So having, I suppose, that's someone else, even if it is an assistant, that for them to, perhaps speak up and say, hey, that's actually something I can do. It can help you.
Yeah. And you know, that's a great point is you don't need a full-time staff to get started. She started off at 5 hours a week. And so, I mean, it was a piece of my income at that time because I was just starting, but think about all the things she was able to do while I was at work. I
Mm,
couldn't do that because I was at work. So she was
mm,
able to start that 5 hours a week was enough traction for me to go ahead and monetize something and start to bring that income in and go, oh, cool. And then I was like, okay, let's increase your hours because she was allowing me to be two people at once. Right.
mm.
So think of it as an investment, even though you have that expense. Start as soon as you can to have a team. And what's really cool is she calls board meetings now. She's like, we need a board meeting. I'm like, uh-oh, because that means I've like gone rogue, like I've put too much on our plates or something.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she comes, she lives like an hour and a half, but she'll come to my house. You could do this remotely on Zoom, and we do a board meeting and we go through it all. She's like, here's what I've noticed. And I'm like, here's what I'm thinking. And she's like, okay, let's bring that together. And sometimes she says, I think we need to table that. I think you're chewing off too much right now. Or she'll say, we need a best practice for this. We've been doing this manually for too long. What's our best practice? And I'm telling you, man, if it wasn't for her, there's no way I would be where I am right now.
Beautiful. What would be
Mhm.
your tips around trying to find someone like that for people?
Actually, it's so funny. I told her, I said, you need to create a course. I said, you are like a diamond in the rough, like
Yeah.
what you have done. I've referred so many people to her. They all say the same thing about her, that she has mapped it out. So she's going to do a course and she's
Oh,
going to teach
beautiful.
people, this is how you're a good virtual assistant. Because
Yeah,
most of them are not awesome. So
yeah.
if you're a virtual assistant and you're like, what do you mean? Being an amazing virtual assistant, so to find your virtual assistant, you need to ask for referrals. They're going to tell you all these wonderful things, which of course they should because they're selling themselves. Ask for referrals and talk to people. Don't just look at their testimonial portfolio. Get on the phone or get in Messenger,
Mm,
even email. Talk to a couple people and do a trial with them. Don't sign any contracts. Don't do anything long term because you will not know until you get into it. Because how is she going to respond when it's late at night and you're like, oh my word, I need this thing. Are you able to help me like throw this together? And then she can put boundaries in place too, right? Like, well, this is how I communicate and this is what I expect from you. So it's a really symbiotic relationship, but they're not all alike. It's actually very hard to find a virtual assistant that's awesome. So there are Facebook groups out there. I would ask for referrals though. I would ask your other entrepreneurial friends that
mm,
have them or if they know somebody. And then inside of groups, you can post like women entrepreneurial groups. You can say, hey, I'm looking for a virtual assistant. People will post and then you vet them out. You ask for referrals, find out their fee schedule. How do they do in between? Like, can you access them like in between? Like, how often can you reach out to them? Like, really do your due diligence. I did luck out with her, but I've worked with a couple other people. I've used for more short-term stuff. Like if I just need like something on my website done or videos edited, you can go on a site like Upwork and you can contract a job out. All those people are vetted. They all have
mm.
ratings. You can do that. But long-term relationships, I would get a referral.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I ended up doing that too. I've tried a couple of people where, and it's the same as with freelancing, whether it's through Fiverr or Upwork, and then there's
Mhm.
some other ones out there as well, Design Crowd, and they're for more freelancers. But I ended up finding someone through referral and really, really good. And I suppose I know what I'm looking for because I've hired staff in the past for other types of businesses. So I'm sort of looking for where my not so great at, and that's someone who has initiative or has experience in that. Yeah, but I really like with a lot of the things that you've suggested there, so I think that's going to
Good.
some really good nuggets of gold there for information
Awesome.
for people. Yeah, lovely, lovely. What would be on the horizon for you in 2020 then?
So I'm really, really excited. I'm sure you're not surprised, but I am with my group coaching. I'm laying out. It's going to be working with higher level people, and I've never done a group coaching to this capacity. So it's like my big Rolls Royce program. But I'm going to be working with people who are ready to break six figures or scale it. So maybe they did it, but they're like, I don't know how to. In that process, when they finish, it's a 6-month program. When they finish it, because it's a business academy, they are actually going to be have my blessing to go ahead and start coaching. So whether they want to do their own coaching or coach with me, because like I said, coaching is it there's a lot of coaches out there, and finding good coaches it's hard to do. So I love to help and mentor other people and help them see their light in them and see the possibilities that they have. So I'm going to be pouring into that next generation, leveling up the industry, and really standing for that transparency that, you know, people are vetted out a little bit. And that way we make sure people are getting, having a good reputation when it comes to hiring a coach or doing a group coaching program. And then speaking, I'm starting to do a lot more speaking on stages too, which is exciting because I love, you know, as much impact as I can make. I love to share my message.
Yeah, no, I certainly got that from you when I first met you, and that whole, you know, we resonated really well, that whole paying it forward, because we do know that it does come back in one way or another, and not that we're expecting it, but we get it in other types of blessings. And yeah, the whole paying it forward is a very strong message that I'm part of. So, and certainly if people then, I find that when you're teaching other people that are similar to that as well, it allows opportunities for some philanthropic type of joint ventures as well. And sometimes they can just quite naturally appear when you might not even be thinking about it. So the fact is that if you're going out there and doing a whole lot more on stages, it's probably going to start to happen to you because you're that type of person, which is so awesome.
Yes, I love it. I love collaborating. I love that you're doing this. I think it's awesome.
Which is beautiful. I'm still thinking, oh, you know, as you're talking, like, oh, some other things further down the track. I love also that, you know, you've also had, I've just made myself some notes that you've also had some experience on teaching on maths, that you've shared the stage with Rachel Hollis and Ray Higdon. Higdon, that's it, thank you. Rob, I've got shocking writing today, and it's very hard to read it. Rob Sperry and Frazer Brookes, and ambassador for John Maxwell. So, like I said, you know, you're a very, very busy lady, and you certainly have a lot of information and ability to be able to help people, which is really lovely.
Thank you.
So then, do you have an offer for the viewers?
Yes. I would love to gift you all a 30-day trial to my Gold Digger University. As you can tell, I love teaching. So this is a place where I've put all of my content in the last 2 years. So there's every single workshop I've ever done, every single masterclass, webinar, bonus training, everything from building up your following, you know, on Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook. How do you call it? My Facebook groups are over 18,000 members in there. How do you monetize your personal brand? How do you build up your influence? How do you do a great job on Facebook Lives? All of it, like every single thing you can think of, I have covered it. So I wanted a place where people could just, it's like my version of Netflix. They can browse and say, this is what I need right now. This is what I need right now. So I'm gifting you all a 30-day trial.
Oh, beautiful. Lovely, lovely. And because I'm sort of going, wow, because I know how much you've done.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I've been busy.
Lots, but that's so good. There's so many nuggets of gold in that, pearls of wisdom in that. It's going to help lots of people no matter what stage they are on their entrepreneurial journey, even if they're really very quite experienced. It's just revisiting a lot of the times and picking up those extra little bits that you either are missing or that you just need to hone that little bit more. And I think that your message certainly resonates nicely there in those little sort of courses that you've done there. Before we sign off, is there any other sorts of tips that you would like to share with people?
I think, yes. The last thing I'll say is none of this is going to work unless you believe in yourself. And I struggled with alcohol abuse for years and years and years. And it's on both sides of my family. But for me, it was just a coping mechanism with young kids at home and not knowing what to do financially. It just got out of hand. And so one day I sought out a therapist, and she's a life coach and all these things. But therapy was the foundation of it. And we did intensive reprogramming of my subconscious mind. So every day I told myself a new story. Every day I told myself, you are awesome. You can do this. You're a great mom. You are, even though it wasn't true, I wasn't doing the things that I wanted to do every day. And I would beat myself up over that. And so I kept telling myself a new story, new story, new story. So it took 6 weeks of doing this every single day. I never missed a day. And one day I woke up and I was positive, and I woke up and I felt awesome. And I was like, I don't need alcohol anymore in my life. It doesn't serve me. It never, ever works out for me, And I just said, no, I'm done. I'm done. I don't want that in my life anymore. I want to create a different life and a different reality. And I started believing in myself, and I started thinking, I have value, I have worth. I am here for a reason. God put me on this earth to inspire and educate and impact other people. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to show up every single day to be the best version of myself. And by doing that, he's going to fill in the gaps. And that was almost 2.5 years ago. Haven't looked back, and literally my life has been magical ever since. So you have got to put yourself a priority. That mindset, the way you view yourself and what story you're telling yourself every day is going to be everything when it comes to getting the results that you want, everything that we've talked about in this interview. So you work on yourself and make yourself a priority.
That's so lovely. That's so beautiful. We do hear that quite a bit. It's the story that you're telling yourself. I like that. You did it very, very intensely for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
How many times do you think that those stories, because when that can be also applied, with the story about your business and what you're doing and your professional development, how many times a day do you think that story plays over in your head?
Yeah. So the experts say that we tell ourselves the same thing, that we have the same thoughts as the previous day about. It's the majority of our thoughts. It's like 75-80%. It's the same thing. And if you think about it, if you pay attention to your thoughts, most of them are negative, and most of them are, there's no evidence. Like, we will sit there and say, oh, I don't want to go live. No one wants to hear me. Even you putting this together, your first thought might have been, who am I to go interview people and roll out an online summit? Like, that might have been your first thought, but you were strong enough to go, because why not? Why not me? People need to hear this message. I need to get this group of people together, and I need to help and impact more people, and I'm going to do it. So we all have those little doubts for a second, but it's how quickly you bounce back from that. It's how quickly you're able to redirect it and say, no, I am good enough. I deserve it. Because there is no difference between you and I. I just am unapologetically going after my goals and my dreams. And I kept doing it, and I started getting confident. I started getting results, and my evidence is around me going, yeah, you can do it. You didn't know how to publish a book. You don't know how to start a podcast. Everything is figure outable. Marie Forleo has a new book called Everything is Figure Outable. Go grab that book if this is resonating with you. I know that now, that no matter what comes across my dreams, my thoughts, my goals, I will figure it out. So when you start to have that confidence, your thoughts are mostly good, and they're mostly positive, and they're abundant, and you start to believe in yourself and become your biggest cheerleader. So watch your thoughts in a given day. I bet you, if you're not having the results you want, we can correlate it to the thoughts you're thinking.
Yeah. Oh, so beautiful. So lovely. Exactly. Yeah. And like attracts like. So the more positive you think, the more the positivity you attract to yourself, but the more positivity you'll keep thinking and resonating and moving forward to your success and to your goals. Yeah. But it's the stories, and we all get into our little habits.
It's true. I mean, it's just the conditioning of the way we were raised and all those things. It's like we have to undo all of the stuff that's been done to us as kids, even just teachers and coaches and just, the whole thing. And so we all have stories. We have limiting beliefs about ourselves. And so our adult work is to undo those beliefs and tell ourselves a new story. And so every day it's journaling or visualizing yourself this different person. I've thought about this moment for 2 years. 2 years ago, I was thinking about sitting here during the day in front of a camera, sharing my story or educating and teaching. Before it was even real at all, I thought of it, I visualized it, and I thought, gosh, I can't wait till that's my life. I'm so excited that that's happening while I was at a horrible job that I didn't like. So you can start envisioning it today. Keep doing that. Keep moving forward. Redirect those negative thoughts. Tell yourself a new story. And one day you're going to look up and your story has become true.
Oh, beautiful. What a wonderful way to finish it all off. I love it.
Yes. Good. I'm so glad.
Well, Lord, thank you very, very much for sharing your time today and donating that so generously and helping to create some really wonderful impact on people. So thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me. I'll see all of you guys later. Thank
you.
All
right, then. Thank you. See you later. Bye-bye.